Welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Cartridge. I am one of your co-hosts, Eric Penrod.
And I am your other co-host, Ryan Bauer.
Oh, Ryan, it's been so long. It feels
weird.
I
know. I've missed you. I've missed the storygoers. I've missed you. I've missed games.
It's funny because we got donuts the weekend we didn't record.
Yeah, we still are together.
Ryan, how are you, and what games have you been playing?
I am pretty good. It's been a buck wild couple weeks, folks, but I'm doing good overall. I haven't been playing a ton. I've been playing. I think I say that every single time. I've been playing. I went back and un-Halloweened my town in Animal Crossing and started to ease into some Thanksgiving, moving some flowers for maybe a Christmas. Put the holly bushes out.
Nice.
Caught my last creature for the month, so I'm all set till December. I think I have 3 bugs and 3 fish left. I'm feeling very excited about that.
Good job.
A little bit of Hades here and there. My partner has been is actively playing it right now and carrying all the Hades weight. And I just go in, spend all our diamonds, talk to everyone, and then do maybe a run. So it's kind of the dynamic right now. And then a little bit of Crusader Kings. I think that's it. Have I played? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's everything. Not a lot. There's so much out right now.
I know.
And I am not playing any of it, and I feel very strongly about wanting to. But how are you? What have you been playing?
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like everything you just said, I just really resonate with so hard right now. It was a rough day today at work, so it's like, It's very nice to kind of just sit here and just record a nice episode of Tales and enjoy a story. But yeah, no, overall though, I've been really good. And, I think last episode I just recently started my new job, and it's going really well, just therapying those kids who need the therapies and all that good stuff, whatever that means. I hope no one knows. I hope no one I know that I work with listens to this. It's not gonna sound like what the heck. But yeah, in terms of games though, I posted this on Instagram, but No More Heroes 1 and 2 just came out again on the Switch, and those are 2 games I really I love for some reason, and they're wacky and crazy and honestly kind of stupid, but man, it just has so much weird charm to it. And I'm not a big fan of Suda51, the director of the game. His other games I'm not super into. I've never been into any of his others, and I've tried them. Killer 7 I thought was super weird, and there's a lot of weird kind of toxic masculinity kind of things, sexist kind of things with that I'm just not super into. And No More Heroes has a sprinkle of that, unfortunately, but everything else in that game is just so wacky and fun to play. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then of course Hades, because I'm pretty sure I'll be playing Hades for the rest of my life. I think at this point, I feel like
we all will. We episode.
All will. Yeah, honestly, it's just so good. I can literally, I finish a run and I think, okay, I'll start a new run and I'll just end on the second place or whatever. And I just keep going. I just keep going and going and going. And I just did another run. Why did I do another run? I meant to stop. It just gets me so good. So yeah, Hades. And I wish I could stay play Animal Crossing. My partner and I fell off the wagon super hard.
Oh no!
Crossing. I played Halloween because she worked, and I did Halloween for us, and that was it. I was frustrated because I was they gave us the spooky carriage, which I've been looking for adamantly the whole Halloween season to put on my train track, and I get it on Halloween night. Are you kidding? I can't use this on November 1st. Yeah, I digress. But anyway, that is what we've been playing and how things are going. It's been crazy, man. It's been such a crazy week.
It's been so crazy. Sure has.
But storygoers, if you've had a crazy week, then sit back, relax, because today we are going through the story of The Secret of Monkey Island.
Yes, The Secret of Monkey Island. I love this game. I love this game so much. Going back and doing this script and playing through it again, it's just, I think similar to No More Heroes, it's just kind of wacky and weird, and so much just doesn't make sense, and it's silly, and it's just a really wonderful, charming game that I love so much.
It has a bunch of assassins trying to kill each other, and girls in ballerina outfits with a bat trying to kill people, right?
You're not, maybe.
Oh, okay, wait. There's No More Heroes. Okay, got it. That would be a crazy out of nowhere moment
called
in Secret of Monkey Island. I would totally support that. But no. As always, storygoers, before we dive into the story, you can send us your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives through Twitter and Instagram. Find us at Tales from the Cartridge. Or you can email us at talesfromthecartridge@gmail.com. All of the E's are 3s. I tried the regular Tales from the Cartridge at Gmail, and someone has already taken it, though I had no idea how, because I searched all the social media. I just can't find who has it. Because I would really love that Gmail account. But Ryan, you have some of the backgrounds of the game you'd like to go over.
I do, yeah. So I think this might be our oldest game. Monkey Island came out in October of 1990, before I existed in the world. Monkey Island has been around longer than I have, which I think this might be the oldest one, but we'll have to go back and check. It was made by Lucasfilm Games, and it was published by Lucasfilm Games, which, if you're not aware, Lucasfilm are the Star Wars folks that made a bunch of like really wacky point-and-click adventures around this time, and some other stuff. It was written by Ron Gilbert, who is also the director, Dave Grossman, and of course Tim Schafer, who he went on to make a bunch of other point-and-click adventures and a bunch of other really good games and get bought by Microsoft. And is just a really, you'll see if you've played any of his other games, you can really feel the wacky, silly, improvisational heart in this, and it shines right through. And I think you collected some influences on how we got this strange, wonderful game.
Yeah, I found some kind of interesting tidbits for this. It was actually really cool. So like you said, it was so Ron Gilbert, Dave Grossman, and Tim Schafer, the only 3 people on this project. Ron Gilbert, the creator and director of the game, pitched his idea to Lucasfilms, who agreed to partner with him. But unfortunately, they had to wait a little bit to start making the game, because the initial team at Lucasfilms was creating Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, the graphic adventure. And they had to finish that first before they allowed the project to begin. I think they wanted to focus on one project at a time. So they're like, yeah, we're making Indiana Jones. When we're done with this, you can start your project. I think it was like a revenue or like a money thing. I'm not sure exactly. What's interesting about this game, when you fight in the game, you're essentially insulting one another. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's correct. That's like one of the 2 main mechanics in this game. So it's a point-and-click adventure, and then there's this sword fighting mechanic. And we'll talk more about it in the story. But effectively, you have your sword out, and they have their sword out, and they say an insult, and you have to say the right comeback, or they get the upper hand in the fight, and vice versa. And that's the whole fighting mechanic. It's like this really weird and fun way to represent fighting and combat, but through only text and words, which it feels kind of strange.
It's like super smart. And it's funny because like I was reading about the influence of this game, and so the game's insult sword fighting mechanics that were heavily influenced by like movies starring Errol Flynn, which is like a swashbuckling pirate movie, which all 3, Gilbert, Schafer, and Grossman, watched for inspiration. They noticed that in these films, like the opposing pirates would taunt one another instead of attacking them straight on. It gave them the idea to like base action, quote unquote, duels with insults rather than like fighting with swords, which is I thought was really cool. It's really like so smart. Who would think to do that? And then last but not least, so Schafer and Grossman wrote the dialogue for the game. We're also programming the game. So some of the dialogue was based on the designer's like personal experiences, and I found one really good line from Tim Schafer's experience that will point out in the dialogue as we're going through. I think that's really funny. So those are the influences I found that were kind of interesting. It sounds like you have a very like amazing experience with this game, a lot of good memories. Would you like to share with us?
Yeah, so this game came out before I was born, so I didn't play it until years and years and years and years and years later. And I think it was probably there was a Steam sale, and I've heard of these games, being a big fan of point-and-click adventures. If you go out there, people will point you to the Tim Schafer point-and-click adventures and the Lucasfilm point-and-click adventures. They're kind of the early 90s epitome point-and-click games that everybody loves because the writing is really good and they're really funny and silly, and this was like the first one in that long line. And so, again, I heard of it, and then I went and it was on the Steam sale. And this is the special edition version that came out in, I think, 2009. So I bought it on Steam and I played through it, and it's just... and the original game is the writing is exactly the same from the original to the special edition, but the visuals look completely different. In the original, it's like super pixelated, and that's kind of part of the charm, but it also makes it incredibly difficult to play. You have to track down a barrel, and then you have to like get your face right up to the screen to try and decipher what the barrel might be in this scene because it's so pixelated. And the art is so great in the special edition. So anyway, I played it. I loved it. It's wonderful. It has this really silly humor and charm. Kind of one of my go-to games if somebody enjoys point-and-click adventures. I say go try Monkey Island because there's 3 of them and it's very fun. What about you? Do you have any memories at all with The Secret of Monkey Island?
I hate saying this, but I have no memories of this game. I I feel like I never really had heard of this game. I thought maybe you did mention it to me once, like a while ago. I just never, I've never like been super into point and click games. I've never been like, I didn't like use a PC a whole lot growing up. So except for like one time with like Pokemon that I mentioned in our DLC episode. But yeah, I just never played games like that a whole lot. So now that I'm listening to you talk about it, and I appreciate them now. But I still have never played Monkey Island, and so I'm really looking forward to listening to the story and seeing what I get from it. Because if like the story is gonna get me like I think it will, I should totally just jump in and buy it and just go in all that barrel pixel glory that it gets.
Yeah, and I will say, like with every game we do, I cut out a lot of bits, and it's really unfortunate because the writing is so good and so silly and so wacky, and some of the things that Guybrush says off the cuff are hilarious, and the situations he gets in and the characters in this world are so funny and silly that I feel unfortunately I can't do them justice, because obviously when you walk up to somebody in this game, or maybe it's not obvious, when you walk up to somebody in this game, you have like 5 things you can say. Each of those things leads to like an interesting and fun back and forth quip, and it's just hard to include all of those and also push the story forward. So after you're done listening to this, if it seems like, man, this is really silly and fun and wacky and I want more of this, there is probably, a whole ton of game that you can go and enjoy and appreciate.
That's awesome. I definitely will probably be one of those people. I definitely will. Yeah, awesome. So I guess without further ado, we should jump right into the story.
Yeah, let's jump into the secret of Monkey Island.
Arg.
Our story takes place deep in the Caribbean on a mystery island called Melee. Guybrush Threepwood arrives, looking to make a name for himself. He follows a path to a nearby overlook, and uninvited approaches the first person he sees, a strange old man looking out of the ocean. "Hi, my name is Guybrush Threepwood, and I want to be a pirate." The semi-blind old man chuckles at his declaration. "You look more like a floor inspector, but if you're serious about pirating, go find the pirate leaders. You'll find them at the Scum Bar." Guybrush gets excited, thanks the semi-blind man, and heads towards the Scum Bar. Walking along the dock towards the Scum Bar, squawking seagulls overhead, Guybrush notices a nearby poster, a re-election poster for Governor Marley. And there's only one candidate, there's only one choice. He continues down the dock. The moon is full as he strolls across the rickety pier and into the well-lit Scum Bar. The interior of the Scum Bar is full of pirates in various states of inebriation. The pirates yell at each other, pewter glasses of grog in hand. A few passed out in the seats while one hangs from the anchor-shaped chandelier overhead. Guybrush saunters over to a nearby pirate. At the door announces, "Hi, name's Guybrush Threepwood, and I'm new in town." "Guybrush Threepwood? That's the stupidest name I've ever heard!" The pirate laughs heartily. "My name is Mancomb Sheepgood." "So what brings you to Melee Island, TM?" "Anyway," Guybrush responds, "I want to be a pirate." "Oh, really?" Sheepgood responds. "You should go talk to the important-looking pirates of the next room. They're pretty much in charge around here. They can tell you where to go and what to do." On the way over to the important-looking pirates, Guybrush stops to have a conversation with a salt and pepper dog named Spiff. Huge bone in his teeth, gives you the following advice. "Woof, woof, woof, arf, woof, woof, Melee Island, TM, woof, 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 LeChuck, grrr, grrr, woof, woof, ruff, 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 Governor Marley, ruff, 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 LeChuck, ruff, 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 Monkey Island, TM. Guybrush Threepwood understood none of this warning, or perhaps foreshadowing, and proceeds deeper into the tavern. Behind a large, deep crimson velvet curtain sit 3 important-looking pirates at a separate table beside a roaring fireplace. They sit and sip grog in silence. Threepwood introduces himself and announces his intentions again to become a pirate. After some discussion, they decide to give Threepwood advice, because they're short on help because of the whole LeChuck thing. No help meant no swag. No swag meant no grog, and they were dangerously low on grog. After some hesitation, they reveal the 3 trials, which every pirate must pass. You must master the sword, the art of thievery, and treasure huntery. Threepwood must return with proof to the 3 pirates in order to become a true pirate and drink grog with them. The pirates drunkenly continue to give advice on how to achieve the 3 trials, with helpful advice such as, "Get you a sword!" in order to master the sword and seek out the sword master. Or, Steal the idol of many hands, located in the governor's mansion and display case. That is, if he can drug the vicious dogs outside and sneak past the guards inside. In order to prove his treasure huntery skills, he must bring the legendary treasure of Melee Island TM back to the pirates. Before Threepwood can begin his 3 trials, the pirates tell him what's in their delicious mugs of grog. Grog is a secret mixture, which contains 1 or more of the following: kerosene, lamp oil, paraffin glycol, antifreeze, artificial sweetener, sulfuric acid, rum, acetone, nail polish remover, red dye number 2, scum, axle grease, battery acid, and or pepperoni. As you can probably imagine, it's one of the most caustic, vital substances known to man. This stuff eats right through mugs, and the cooks losing a fortune replacing them. Guybrush begins his adventure by sneaking into the kitchen in the back of the tavern, promptly steals a huge hunk of meat off the cutting board, a pot from underneath the table, and collects a red-colored fish from out back. Meanwhile, deep beneath Monkey Island, TM, the ghost pirate LeChuck's ship lies anchored in a river of lava. The undead LeChuck stares pensively out the ship window as his captain's quarters. He dons a huge mustard-colored pirate hat and a see-through red shirt. There's nothing like hot wind of hell blowing in your face. It's days like these that make you glad to be dead. LeChuck's good mood is promptly destroyed when a crewmate informs him of the arrival of a new pirate on Monkey Island, a Guybrush Threepwood. LeChuck decides to take care of him himself. My plans are too important to be messed up by amateurs, he announces. He goes back to staring out at the lavascape. Back on Melee Island, Threepwood has left the scum bar and makes his way to explore the island and complete the 3 trials to become a pirate. He first arrives in a clearing where the brightly lit circus set stands. Inside, 2 almost identical brothers bicker about who should be blasted out of the circus cannon. After spotting Guybrush, they excitedly ask him to be shot out of the cannon. They'd pay him, of course, if he could find a helmet. Guybrush presents a large soup pot he stole from the kitchen to the Fettuccine brothers, places it on his head, and explodes out of the cannon. He's launched, hitting the wood sporting the trapeze beam, and lands headfirst on the ground. Thankfully, Guybrush is alive, but dazed, and the Fettuccine brothers rejoice, have avoided an embarrassing and financially debilitating lawsuit. Guybrush leaves the circus tent, the brothers arguing behind him. Fresh money in his pocket, he heads back to town. A suspicious individual with a parrot over his shoulder at the intersection of town. He wears a classic long trench coat. Excuse me, do you have a cousin named Sven? No, but I once had a barber named Dominique. Close enough. Let's talk business. The mysterious man opens a long trench coat with scrolls of paper in different sizes and colors. Only one in existence. He grabs one of the many papers. He sells you the map of the lost treasure of Melee Island, TM, for 100 pieces of 8. Almost all of what you just earned from the Fettuccine brothers. You enter a dark and mysterious voodoo shop. Birds hang from the ceiling. A skeleton figure poses ominously next to a red velvet chaise lounge, and a large cauldron gurgles and bubbles in the middle of the room, glowing green and emitting sulphurous odor. Guybrush steals a rubber chicken and meets a mysterious witchy woman. She immediately senses and correctly guesses your name and tells you that you can take the chicken. Guybrush immediately grows suspicious and thinks that the chicken could be jinxed with ancient voodoo curse, but luckily, the pulley still squeaks. She reveals a bit of their future, including captaining a ship and entering a giant monkey. Guybrush then wanders into the prison, where he meets a pleading prisoner who claims that he's a victim of society. Not to mention Halitoshus, Guybrush responds.
Hey, it's hard to keep my breath minty fresh when there's nothing to eat in here but rats.
It's obvious that we need to acquire this man breath, and fast. Guybrush continues exploring the downtown and hears someone down a dark and abandoned alley. Psst! Hello? Anybody in there? Hello? Guybrush walks down the alley. A mysterious man with a huge handlebar mustache and an equally large sword follows you into the alley. You know, bad things could happen to a person in a dark, deserted alley like this one, and at this time of night, no one would be around to see it, the stranger says. This conversation seems to lead to an extremely unfortunate outcome. That is, until he announces that he's the sheriff, Sheriff Fester Shinetop. He advises that you take your vacation elsewhere, and that this is a poor and unsafe time to visit Melee Island. The sheriff walks away, and Guybrush says to himself, Boy, I feel much better knowing there's an officer of the law around here. Guybrush promptly ignores his warning and goes into the nearby shop to pick up some goods. Guybrush picks up Slash Master, TM. When you want a sword, that's as fast as your wit. And the Dig Master, TM. The only shovel for serious treasure hunting enthusiasts. I could really use a breathman, Guybrush says to the shopkeeper, who willingly gives him a roll of breathmans. Apparently, Guybrush thinks as well. He then asks the shopkeeper about the Sword Master and where he can find them. The shopkeeper explains that no one knows the whereabouts of her secret hideout. Well, except him. He says that he might be willing to go ask her if he can show Guybrush the way, and begins to leave the shop. Guybrush follows the shopkeeper and sees him make his way down the alley. He follows him out of the city into the nearby woods. After navigating a maze of forest, he watches the shopkeeper stroll up to the house of Swordmaster Carla. Guybrush stands back and listens.
Hello again, Carla,
the shopkeeper says as he approaches the hidden house. A woman stands up front, plate at her side. I thought I told you to get lost, Carla responds.
Actually, I'm here on business. This kid came into my store, see?
The shopkeeper replies. Carla snaps back. Face it, you crusty old lech. You'd make any excuse to come out here and bother me. The shopkeeper looks at the ground, dejected.
Yeah, I guess so.
Carla raises her hands and points at the old man, and then away from her home. Well, cut it out! I'm sick of it. Take a hike, and don't come here again. Someone might follow you, and I'd become another Melee Island tourist attraction. The shopkeeper looks up and starts to walk away.
Hey, it's your loss, baby!
Guybrush knows the location of the Swordmaster. Now he just needs to learn how to fight. He heads back to town to find some answers, and away to steal the idol from the governor's mansion. Guybrush first goes back to the prison, and offers the Groggamint-flavored mints to the prisoner. They become friends. Otis, the prisoner, insists he was framed. He's got to get out of here, before he loses his mind completely.
I don't know who exactly. I think it was a conspiracy. And if there's any one type of piracy I don't like, it's a conspiracy.
He goes on to say he's never even touched the yellow Kanachi and Dormy flower in the forest.
I'm mostly surviving off the grog, slop, odd-looking, totally a monkey rump roast from the cook of the scum bar. Lice, rats, but won't touch his Aunt Tilly's carrot cake. Otis hates carrot cake.
He also shares how mean the sheriff is. Luckily, the governor keeps him in check most of the time. He took over after the previous good sheriff, who recently died under mysterious circumstances. Guybrush thanks Otis and heads out of town to pick some of these yellow flowers before heading to the governor's mansion. A large, brightly lit house hangs over the side of a cliff. 5 deadly piranha poodles bark aggressively. Thankfully, they're chained at a stake, and they can't get you. Guybrush laces the hunk of meat he stole with some poisonous and illegally picked yellow flowers and throws it at the poodles. They devour them and fall still. Disclaimer. No poodles were harmed in the production of this podcast.
That's important. We don't do that.
So important. So important.
We are not that podcast.
So Eric, I was so into it, I didn't even stop. How are you feeling so far about Monkey Island?
I love this dialogue. This is so funny. I'm dying for that shopkeeper with the, it's your loss, baby. So funny. It's just so funny. I'm not even surprised either. Like I don't really know the other two, but I know Tim Schafer. I don't know him, but I know of his works, and like they're really funny and unique and quirky, and I just see that in this game story so far. So like it's great. I love it so far, and like I disappointed I haven't played it sooner, but I'm very excited to now go back and play it. So, but Ryan, what are you thinking so far?
I mean, I love Monkey Island. Like I've said, I think it's a pretty simple story. You're just, for some reason, a guy who really wants to become a pirate, and that's kind of your only main driver. You get some more later, and we'll talk about that when that happens. In the same vein of like an Indiana Jones, you're a hero who wants to do something because, and it's almost like making fun of how ridiculous that is. And this whole world is like this weird, constantly fifth wall breaking experience. Like every time, I've said it a couple times, every time you see the word Monkey Island or Melee Island, there's a tiny trademark symbol next to it in the text of the game. Like that's built into the spirit of the game. That's like really ridiculous. We know it's a game, we know it's silly, and we're not even going to try and hide it. So like story-wise, it's not super complex. The characters are really fun and interesting. They have really great dialogue, and you're just kind of thrown from thing to thing without really ever knowing why or what's going on. And Guybrush is just like this really goofy dingus who just gets really lucky a lot.
Yeah, he just seems like this like total stooge that just kind of is lucky with like where he's going, and he's at like the right place, the right time. Like it's just so funny. Like the sheriff following you in the alley, like he's gonna rob you, and he's really the sheriff.
And that whole encounter is like really like is hilarious. And if you when you play it, it feels spooky and mysterious. And the way he talks to you is like kind of ominous. And then at the end, Guybrush is like, "Yeah, I feel much better now. Thanks, sheriff." Like in this totally sincere voice. Like there's no sarcasm to it.
It's so funny. He's a pirate too. So you think like he'd hate this sheriff, and he just totally doesn't. It's so funny.
Guybrush heads into the governor's man. He grabs a vase, pockets it, and starts to open a door. The sheriff closes the door behind him. Crash! Ooh! Ouch! Guybrush smashes the flower vase over the sheriff's head and enlists the help of some hypnotized, quarrelsome rhinos. So one of the things about this is this whole scene takes place like we don't see any of it. The doors are closed and we're looking at a wall and there's like sound effects popping up. And it just says ridiculous things. Like, for example, hypnotize coralus rhinos.
That's so weird. This game is weird and funny at the same time.
By using the stapler remover on the yak, it causes you to crash through the wall back to the main room of the mansion. Guybrush picks up the Manual of Style from the bookshelf and promptly climbs back into the hole where the fight is still taking place. He briefly stops to acknowledge that he must be nuts. He picks up the wax lips, gets scared of some gophers, but luckily finds some gopher repellent to use. Guybrush finds the idol and manages to tie up the sheriff to a chair. Guybrush self-consciously declares, "If only I had a file, I could get the idol." Gopher and rat repellent in hand, he heads back to Otis in the prison. Otis happily exchanges it for carrot cake, which you devour, only to discover a raspy metal file. Just what you need. Guybrush heads back to the mansion, sheriff still tied up, and frees the idol, filing the back off the case. Right before he manages to escape, the sheriff wriggles free and is about to fight you. But before he can, the governor intervenes and shoos him off. Guybrush is immediately smitten by Governor Elaine Marley and has extreme trouble with trying to find the words. He manages to sputter, "The idol belongs in a museum." Elena heartily agrees, letting him take it. The sheriff stops him at the mansion door and takes him to the dock to be tossed into the ocean. Guybrush's waist is tied to the idol. The sheriff's plan for the governor is too important for a wannabe pirate to get in the way. The sheriff kicks the idol into the water and Guybrush sinks to the bottom to the sea, and he happily wanders off to the scum bar. By the way, one thing I left out was at the very beginning of the story, when you're meeting those 3 pirate captains who tell you about the trials, they say, "Do you have any skills?" And Guybrush says, "Well, I can hold my breath for up to 10 minutes. And the reason I'm telling you that is because it's important for this very moment.
That's a good skill to have. I would like that skill.
Yeah. That's like an obscene amount of time to hold your breath. Which also just feels like a throwaway line that probably Tim Schafer threw in.
Oh yeah, they're probably like, "How do we explain this?" Well, it's early in the game. Let's put it in that he can hold his breath for 10 minutes. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it just gets more ridiculous as you see.
That's funny.
A few minutes later, Guybrush is still underwater but conscious. Luckily, he can hold his breath up to 10 minutes, so this deadly attempt doesn't scare him. He waits until the coast is clear on the docks, picks up the idol, puts it in his pocket, no longer weighed down by the idol. He grabs a sword, lying on the seafloor, and climbs up the ladder. The governor, surprised to find him alive, explains that she came down to help him. Their eyes meet. They immediately fall in love. A string of corny lines later, he asks for a kiss, but she puts her hand up to stop him. She reveals that their love must be a secret, and she's told everyone that she promised her father she would never fall in love with a pirate. And if any of the pirates around saw, it could really hurt their feelings, and they would know she was lying. "Okay then, let's go back to your place," Guybrush quickly responds. She tells him that first he has to finish the trials, so he's not preoccupied, and walks away. "I feel a sudden urge to complete the trials," Guybrush announces. With newfound vigor, and the idol in hand, he goes to find the last 2 things he needs. So, Eric, we've accomplished our first goal of getting the idol. What are your feelings so far?
It's so wacky and weird, but I like it a lot. It's just so funny. I love humor that puts in these just nonsense things, but it's just funny and it works. So the idol, how it's dragging him to the bottom of the ocean, and then he puts it in his coat and walks up the ladder to get out of the ocean, and it doesn't weigh him down anymore. It's just so funny because you think in your mind they really didn't think about this part. Obviously this idol's gonna weigh him down, but it's totally on purpose. It's totally on purpose to just make you laugh and be like, this dude is just so wacky and weird, and in a weird way he sounds completely lovable. You're totally rooting for this weirdo who is supposedly a pirate. It's just great. It's fantastic. But I don't know. What are you thinking?
It's almost like making fun of the fact that it's a game in some way in order to tell this story, and just kind of, like you said, really leaning into that silliness and not letting that stop it from really doing anything, and letting that be what entertains us and drives us through the story. And that the gameplay is, it's point and click, so it's engaging and interesting, but the story, as simple as it is and as basic as it is, these really silly characters, kind of similar almost to Red Dead, these silly characters and the silly world kind of propels it to something that's much more interesting.
Yeah, totally. And it's just the characters are so funny and lovable. I love this line that when they fall in love and she's like, no, I promised the other pirates. I promised I would never marry another pirate, and if I did that, all the other pirates know that I'm lying. and then just Guybrush, and it's just Guybrush's response. I feel a sudden urge to complete the trials. It's just so funny. It's just so good. I love smart writing like this. It's so stupid, but it's so stupid that it's smart, and it's great. I love it. That's how I live my life. So stupid, but it's smart,
Yeah, we're all a little bit of Guybrush.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Guybrush opens the map and realizes it's dancing lessons. Confused, he looks again. He remembers his journey in the forest. He makes his way back to the forest, and he follows the dance steps to the map until he finds a large wooden sign that states, "The legendary lost treasure of Melee Island, TM." This carefully reproduced piece of Melee Island, TM history has delighted thousands of would-be pirates and their families for generations. Remember, there are other pirates on this island, so go easy on the treasure. Leave some for the next person. Guybrush walks over to a large stone marker that reads, "Here lies treasure of such unimaginable wealth. Well, you'll just have to dig it up to believe it." Paid for by the Melee Island Chamber of Commerce. Dig master in hand, Guybrush starts digging. Hours pass. Hey, I think I hit something. Oh boy, it's a t-shirt. Not my size, but a nice one nonetheless. Well, I guess I should put all this dirt back now. More hours later. Another trial down, and sword in hand, Guybrush heads to find someone who can help him defeat Swordmaster Carl. After some walking, Guybrush knocks on the door of Captain Smirk's big body pirate gym. Captain Smirk appears at the door.
What do you want, you wimpy spineless maggot?
Could you train me to be better than the Swordmaster?
Better than the Swordmaster? You? You can never be half the sword fighter Carla is. You just don't have what it takes.
I do so have what it takes, Guybrush says indignantly.
You do not.
I do so.
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 I like your spirit. I'll do what I can. Of course, it'll cost you. What have you got?
Guybrush pays in pieces of 8, and they both enter the house. To it seems to be a training room. Armor and sword adorn the walls of the gym.
Okay, you maggot. Why don't you whip that sword out, and let's see what you can do with it.
Guybrush funningly swings the sword here and there. He looks absolutely pathetic. Smirk sighs, resigned.
Boy, you fight like a dairy farmer. I usually don't waste my time with vermin like yourself. But seeing this LeChuck thing has put a cramp in business. I've got no choice. I need the money.
After many hours later of sword fighting.
Not bad. You got good form. Now I'm gonna let you in on the true secret of sword fighting. Sword fighting is kind of like making love. It's not always what you do, but what you say. Any fool pirate can swing a sharp piece of metal around and hope you cut something. But the pros, they know just when to cut their opponent with an insult. One that catches them off guard. You see, kid, your wit's gotta be twice as sharp as your sword. Let's try an insult out, shall we? Okay, imagine this. We're fighting up a storm. There's a sudden break in the fighting, and I say to you, you look like a dairy farmer. You respond with,
You must be thinking of someone else. I'm not a farmer.
I see we've got a lot of work to do here. You should have responded with something like, how appropriate. You fight like a cow. You see, it's razor sharp wit, like that wins fights. Now I suggest you go out there and learn some insults.
Guybrush spends the next few hours walking around the island, challenging every pirate at an insult sword fight he comes across. He uses a variety of witty examples to hone his razor-sharp insults. I wanted to stop and share 3 of some of the very good ones. There are like 10 of these things. There's a ton of them, and you have to like match up the right insult with the right comeback, and it's a whole thing. But I added 3 of these in here that we can kind of take on. Do you want to be the insulty or the comeback, Eric?
I'll do the insulty so you can have the cool comebacks.
Okay.
All right. People fall at my feet when they see me coming.
Even before they smell your breath?
Ooh. I got this scar on my face during a mighty struggle.
I hope now you've learned to stop picking your nose.
Have you stopped wearing diapers yet?
Why? Do you want to borrow one?
That's admitting you wear diapers.
It's fine.
That's so funny.
With Captain Smirk's training and lots of practice being insulted, Guybrush heads to face Carla the Swordmaster. When he arrives, she immediately notices his training with a smirk and draws her blade. Insults and blades fly as Carla and Guybrush clash. Guybrush flourishes and sends Carla's blade through the air. She raises her hands and proclaims, I give up. You win. You can go back and brag to everyone you beat the Swordmaster. She hands Guybrush another t-shirt to mark his success. All 3 trials complete, Guybrush makes his way back to town. As he approaches, the ghostly image of a ship vanishes as Guybrush watches on. He is confused and not sure what that was when the mostly blind old man from the beginning of plays appears.
Governor has been kidnapped by LeChuck and taken to Monkey Island. No pirate crew is brave enough to face him.
He then hands Guybrush a note from LeChuck.
Attention, pirates of Melee. Your governor is alive and well by my side, as she was always meant to be. If you try and find us, you will only be met with horrifying disaster. Yours truly, Captain LeChuck.
Guybrush, determined to find a crew and a ship, searches the island for anyone fool enough to help. The poor fools he gathers are Carlo the Swordmaster. He frees Otis and a strange man with 2 hooks on each hand, named Meat Hook. After tricking the shopkeeper, he steals a note of credit, which allows him to purchase a ship from Stan's used ship emporium. A gaudily dressed man with a large purple and blue coat in whose hands wave through the air, seemingly uncontrollable, approaches Guybrush. "Howdy," says the man. His unwavering smile and strange voice makes him seem completely untrustable. "I'm Stan, of Stan's previously owned vessels," he proclaims. A large wooden sign behind him next to the guard machine confirms his statement. "What type of vehicle are you looking for?" And he takes him to see a variety of vessels, large and small. Guybrush explains his budget, and Stan proclaims, "I've got just the boat for you." He leads Guybrush to the end of the dock and shows him a ship called the Sea Monkey, the only ship ever to make it back with anything left alive. Some say it was sailed by a crew of chimps. Chimps? There aren't any chimps in the Caribbean. Oh, shut up. It makes a good story. How much are you looking to spend today? Stan asks Guybrush, his hands still waving wildly. Guybrush explains he has a line of credit, and Stan attempts to sell him a variety of extras, such as porthole defoggers, anti-lock anchor, rack and pinion rudder, velour sail covers, trachometer, an elevator made with wood from a Burgundy wine casks, and a simulated wood siding. Guybrush declines the extras, and after some haggling, hardball, and even some name-calling, Guybrush Threepwood has a ship and a crew. The small but courageous crew undock their ship and continue to Monkey Island. DM. Eric, he's got a ship and he's got a crew.
I know, it's so fast.
Yeah. So fast.
Is there a reason why everything's always TM'd? Everything's always trademarked?
I think that's just part of the joke that Monkey Island is the name of the game, and they have to trademark that. So for some reason, Melee Island and Monkey Island are all trademarked all throughout the game. I don't know if it's just like to make it seem really ridiculous that when the characters talk, everything has a trademark by it, as if everything is owned, or if they want to take the fantasy magicalness out of it by making everything owned by corporations effectively, or all being trademarked. But yeah, it's just a bunch of silly nonsense mostly. And I will say, Stan looks absolutely ridiculous. I hope I described him correctly. And like I said, his hands are just constantly like moving for no real reason, like a wacky inflatable man, car salesman man. It's just really weird. And it looks ridiculous in both the new version and the old version. But it's very funny. Stan's a very strange character. Through the courageous leadership of Captain Threepwood, the Sea Monkey is finally underway. Undaunted by their lack of navigational equipment or expertise, the crew begins to plan their voyage. Guybrush stands on the deck of the ship, speaking to his crew of 4, including himself. Carlo, the swordmaster, Otis, the prisoner he freed, and his hooked companion, Meat Hook. First of all, I'd like to say it's been great working with such a fine crew. The voyage ahead is not going to be easy. It's going to take skill, endurance, and most of all, teamwork. First, I thought we'd assign some duties.
What is it that we're suckered into doing again?
Guybrush pulls a piece of paper and announces, "I made a list!" Otis, not interested in sailing into dangerous seas, states,
"I don't see what the big deal is with rescuing the governor. She can clearly take care of herself. The way I look at it, we've got this great ship. Well, we've got a ship. Why don't we kick back, tie a rope to the wheel, and cruise for a while? I could use a little work on my tan."
Meat Hook adds, "Come to think of it, I've been a little stressed out lately. I could use some rest." Carlo looks to the others and announces, "Then it's decided. We'll cruise the Caribbean." Guybrush sighs and makes his way to the captain now. Guybrush, now alone, announces to himself, "I'm doomed." He starts to search around the room for any answers. Inside the desk, he finds a feather pen, an ink bottle, and an old book. He opens it and reads. Captain's log, March 10th. First mate Toothrot and I have been searching for Monkey Island for over a month, with no success. The directions we purchased on Melee Island proved to be a recipe, not a map as we believed. Captain log, March 12th. I wish Toothrot would take a bath. Captain's log, March 17th. I wish Toothrot would stop snoring. Captain's log, March 23rd. Toothrot is really starting to get on my nerves. I figure it's only a matter of time before we come to blows. Captain's log, April 2nd. As a gesture to restore our friendship, Toothrot offered to fix dinner tonight. Captain's log, April 3rd. I don't know how we did it. We arrived at Monkey Island. Both Toothrot and I passed out from the soup he fixed last night. When we awoke, Monkey Island TM was sitting off the bow. Captain's log, April 4th. Toothrot and I filled the rowboat with supplies and ready to set sail for Monkey Island. We're both excited at the prospect of being the first civilized people to learn the secret of Monkey Island. Captain's log. We had to turn around to return to the ship. Toothrot forgot to use the bathroom before we left. We'll set out again tomorrow. Guybrush closes the book and heads back out on the deck to see his crew. They sit on the deck, lounging in various states of undress, enjoying the warm sun and some cold drinks. He attempts to inspire and stir them, but has no luck. They wish to relax and soak up the sun. Frustrated with his meatless crew, Guybrush makes his way around the ship, collecting more supplies and seemingly useless objects that will of course come in handy later. He finds a Jolly Roger, a box of cereal with a prize inside, a pot, fine wine, a giant piece of rope, and gunpowder. Guybrush returns to his room, hoping to use something he collected to inspire his crew. He stares at the large amount of strange objects he's collected, and enjoys some of the cereal he found in the search. While eating the cereal, he discovers a prize inside. It was a key. A key that seems to perfectly fit in the hole in the closet of his room. Inside, Guybrush finds a large, heavy chest. While attempting to carry the chest into the middle of the room, he announces, "Man, that's heavy! Filled no doubt with gold and jewels." He opens up the chest to find a small piece of paper and some cinnamon sticks. He looks in the paper, which reads, "Directions to Monkey Island! Preheat the pot to 450 degrees and add the following ingredients. 1 cinnamon stick, 4 leaves of mint, 1 human skull, pressed, 1 squirt of squid ink, 2 pints of monkey blood, 1 live chicken, 3 ounces of brimstone, and 1 or more of the following: peroxidine, hydrochloride, zinc oxide, yellow 8, mine mononitrate, and BHA. Let bubble over low flame until thickened. Serves a crew of 4. Recipe in hand, Guybrush rushes towards the kitchen, in the hopes of reenacting the journey outlined in the captain's log. First, he sticks the cinnamon stick in the paper pot. In place of the 4 leaves of mint, he puts down the rest of his remnants. He may not have a pressed human skull, but the Jolly Roger does have a skull on it. Next, the ink from the captain's room should serve well in place of squid ink. There's no monkey blood around, but the fine red wine is red. A live chicken is hard to come by at sea, but the loyal rubber chicken should work. In place of brimstone, the gunpowder he found earlier, and to cover his bases for the last ingredients, he adds a cotton shirt, a staple remover, LeChuck's note, a feather pen, a bookmark, and cereal. Plumes of green smoke begin to rise from the bubbling pot. A strange, acrid smell fills the air. "Yikes! I think I'm getting dizzy," Guybrush says to himself as he falls to the ground. Overcome by the fumes and stench, Guybrush loses consciousness. Moments later, the voodoo spell kicks in, turning the ship to an unknown location, heading off on a mysterious voyage. Days pass. Guybrush wakes up on the kitchen floor. The green fume has now subsided. "Ugh, I feel awful." Guybrush heads above deck to find his crew still sunbathing. When he looks off the bow, he's amazed at what he sees. "Holy monkey bladders! It's Monkey Island! Look, we've made it to Monkey Island!" Meek Hook, still lounging, responds.
"Let us know when you found the governor. I've got an extra chair she can use."
Guybrush realizes he's going to have to go alone. He grabs no gunpowder, sticks the large rope he found for a fuse, and everything's ready. He once again uses a pot for a helmet and fires himself onto Monkey Island. Eric, we've made it. We've arrived at Monkey Island.
I love it. I love they avert my expectation constantly. The Guybrush is he focuses on finding a crew, getting a boat, and then what happens? That crew is utterly useless. Like they haven't done anything. They're just sunbathing on this boat. They have no importance right now. Finds the way to Monkey Island and goes himself. It's just so funny. As you think that these 4 are gonna work together, and like it just doesn't even happen. I love it. It's so funny.
If we're looking at just like a narrative perspective, it's just silly, wacky nonsense that just happens to all work out. But almost it's so wacky at face value that you appreciate it and enjoy it in a way that if they tried to tell like this long, complex story, it wouldn't land and it wouldn't be as interesting as just like he finds this recipe, he throws a bunch of stuff and it happens to work and then he's at the island. Just like... It's just MacGuffin finding after MacGuffin finding. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just so funny and clever. Like it's just so good. I don't know what else to say other than it's good. The recipe, like the recipe is the way to Monkey Island. Like it's just so random and like all the things he puts in there. The loyal rubber chicken, like it's just
it's all just funny. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I love it. I love this stuff.
Guybrush arrives, butt alit on Monkey Island. Herman Threepwood, an older pirate with long gray beard, greets him. He's been stranded on the island alone, aside from the cannibals, the ghosts, the monkeys, for 20 years. Guybrush's head literally stuck in the sand doesn't respond to Herman, who walks away, hurt from the cold shoulder. Guybrush follows the trail and heads towards the fort. There he finds an old cannon and a beautiful view of the island. An old cannonball falls out of the cannon. Guybrush pockets gunpowder, a piece of flint, a cannon, a piece of rope, and a spyglass, just in case. He continues to explore the island and stumbles on a fork in the river. There, a note printed on letterhead sticks out from under a rock. It reads, "To Ghost Pirate LeChuck, we must ask you once again to curtail your nightly activities in the sacred Monkey Head area. Decent people are trying to sleep. Kindly keep the noise level down. The Monkey Island Cannibals. P.S. We saw you taking that woman with the scarf down there." Guybrush continues to explore the island and finds all sort of delicately placed pieces of art made by Herman. When you reach the top of one particular mountain peak with a stone spiral piece of artwork, you see Herman once again You see here once again. You see Herman once again in a large boulder. The boulder tempts you to push it over the edge. The boulder tempts you to push it over the edge of the cliff, and you do. The stone falls, bouncing against a rubber tree, hits a big banana tree on the beach where you first arrived at Monkey Island. Headed back down to the river fork, Guybrush notices a dam. After placing some gunpowder and exploding it with flint, the river washes downstream to a pond. Birds chirp in the canopy. He comes across a rotting skeleton. Herman appears and explains that the body was once his companion, who was also stranded on the island, but he got into a nasty accident trying to put a swing up. He lives in the fort now, as a castaway. Guybrush finds another note from Ghost Pirate LeChuck. To the Monkey Island cannibals. I don't mind you worshipping in front of the sacred monkey idol, which doubles as my home and secret base of operations. But could you please refrain from leaving messy sacrifices on my porch? Also, do not enter the monkey head. Ghost Pirate LeChuck. It's now pretty clear that he lives in the monkey head. Guybrush travels onward until he reaches a disruption in the trail. A cavern lies between him and the other side. He lassos the sturdy stump with the rope from the fort and climbs to the bottom to collect a pair of oars before continuing back to the beach. At the beach in a large banana tree, he picks up some bananas and piles a rowboat around the perimeter of the island, which leads to the cannibals' village. He steals some more bananas from the fruit basket, which is quickly stopped.
Is that a banana in your pocket, or are you just happy to see us?
The first cannibal says.
You've got a lot of nerve stealing from the notorious Monkey Island cannibals.
The cannibal in the axolotl remarks.
You're cannibals?
Guybrush says with fright.
Well, yes, although lately we've been trying to stay away from the red meat.
The first responds.
Only for health reasons. We're still as vicious as ever.
The second one continues.
Especially with tourists who try to steal our stuff for souvenirs. Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
The first responds.
Oh, go ahead and eat me. See if I care,
says Guybrush.
Hey, whatever you say, we might eat you. We might let you go. We'll have to talk about it with our village nutritionist. Come, let me show you our guest hut.
Guybrush is shown to a room filled with skulls and a large banana picker, which he casually tosses into his backpack. He pries loose the wooden floorboard on the floor and sneaks out of the locked hut. He overhears the cannibals' conversation in the village. They're debating eating Guybrush, but think he's too high in saturated fats. Guybrush escapes and meets a monkey. He gives the monkey all the bananas he's collected and follows it to a clearing on the peninsula off the eastern side of the island. In the clearing, a huge monkey head stares ominously back at Guybrush. Small idols dot the ground around its mouth. Guybrush obviously picks up an idol, stashes it in his backpack. He returns to the cannibal hut and encounters the tree of cannibals again. In order to avoid being eaten, he offers the cannibals the idol. They may pass it on to the great monkey. They're extremely pleased with a very wimpy statue.
Lemonhead, take a look at this.
Ooh, that's nice,
Lemonhead responds.
And it says it's made by Lemonhead, just like one of mine. We should take it to the great monkey.
The cannibals are extremely grateful for the gift and let Guybrush be. He stumbles upon Herman and gives him the banana picker back. Herman gratefully gives you the key to the monkey head to give to the cannibals. The cannibals give directions to Guybrush on how to find LeChuck and the rest of those jerks. The cannibals go on to explain they usually exorcise the undead when they have problems, but they need a very rare root, only one in existence. They use only a little bit at a time, but LeChuck stole the entire root.
LeChuck is hiding underneath the island in a huge system of catacombs, a hellish place filled with the wailing of tortured souls, trapped forever in the rock, where the walls bleed and the air is thick with a rancid smell of pure evil.
Tourists used to line up for hours to see it, until we lent the key to that hermit.
Lemonhead adds.
And until the crusty old pantsless weirdo brings it back, we're keeping his banana picker.
Axolotl replies, unaware that Guybrush has already gave the banana picker back to Herman. I'm off to LeChuck to go get the root, Guybrush declares.
Sorry, but it's just not that easy. Trying to find LeChuck could be very dangerous.
The first cannibal replies.
You'll never find your way into the catacombs without the...
Hey, Ixnay on the Edhay of the Avigator Day.
The what?
Guybrush says, clearly not understanding Pig Latin. The cannibals give Guybrush one hint. The head was once attached to a navigator, which they've kept alive magically so they could take advantage of its innate sense of direction. Getting through the catacombs without it is impossible. But it's their only one, and they won't give it to Guybrush. Guybrush gives the cannibals a pamphlet titled, How to Get Ahead in Navigating.
Well, look at this! It looks like instructions to how to get ahead! We can give him our head and use these instructions to get ourselves a new one!
Says Lemonhead. They give a wrinkly head to Guybrush. The red, bloodshot eyes stare ominously at Guybrush. One gold ear jingles, and a necklace of eyeballs draped across the skull.
We keep it wrapped in this magical necklace that makes it invisible to ghosts.
The skull grins at Guybrush.
Oh look! I think he liked you!
The axolotl head squeals.
If you follow ahead through the catacombs to LeChuck and steal the root back, the cannibals will whip up a batch of their special enzymatic ghost-dissolving solution. Then, Guybrush can pour it on LeChuck like salt on a slug, the head says. Guybrush heads back to the monkey head and the entrance to the catacombs. He takes out a huge Q-tip and swabs the earwax out of the monkey head, which opens the mouth entrance. Guybrush climbs down the monkey spine if it was a ladder and looks out upon the hot, steaming lava pit, equipped with purple poisonous mushrooms. I had a feeling in hell there would be mushrooms, he grumbles to himself.
So quick second to talk about this. So this is back to where we're talking about how the developers of the game were kind of putting in their inspiration, their feelings in the dialogue. So Guybrush's line of "I have a feeling in hell there will be mushrooms" comes exactly from Schaefer's own hatred of fungi, which is this is a cool little Easter egg for the developers to have in the game. I thought it was really cool.
Following the direction of the enamored head, Guybrush navigates through the perilously thin pathways of the catacomb. Molten lava radiates from underneath. One false step could head to instant death for both Guybrush and the head. After many twists and turns in the catacombs, they arrive at LeChuck's docked ship.
Okay, we're here. Now what do you want from me?
May I please have the necklace?
No. But thanks for asking so politely.
Please?
You can beg all you want, but you can't have it.
Pretty please?
You can beg all you want, but you can't have it.
Pretty please?
You can beg all you want, but you can't have it.
Pretty please with sugar on top?
Oh, all right, you big baby. You can have it. What good's a necklace when you don't have shoulders?
He says dejectedly. Guybrush puts the eyeball necklace on his neck and becomes invisible to the ghost. He feels a little tingy and glows slightly. He bravely heads to the ship to confront LeChuck. On board, the skeleton crew are relaxing and dancing as one pirate plays the fiddle. A skeleton dog lies sleepily in the corner of the ship, an iridescent bone in his tummy. Guybrush sneaks to LeChuck's private quarters and steals a very important key. He uses the feather to tickle a sleeping ghost crewmate, which allows Guybrush to steal his jug of grog. The jug of grog is fed to some pesky rat, which allows him some grease for a squeaky door, so that he can sneak past the party and crewmates above the deck before guarding the door. So, he can grab the root. A long walk, a brief row, and a short hike later, Guybrush gives the root to the cannibals and gets the brew, or root beer.
Here it is! 1 squirt of that stuff, and the ectoplasm really hits the fan. If you have any left, it's delicious with a little vanilla ice cream.
After some more furious paddling, Guybrush meets the skeleton in the catacombs.
Eep! You scared me half to death!
He says. LeChuck's ship is clearly gone. The skeleton explains they all left for the wedding between LeChuck and the governor in a lovely church on Manly Island.
What? But how will they...
The rest of Guybrush's crew shows up. Oh, there you are. We've been looking all over for you, the swordmaster says.
Bob!
Otis screams.
Hey guys!
Say, Bob, you're looking a little pale,
says Meathook.
Well, naturally I'm pale. I'm dead after all.
Dead? How did that happen?
Oh, the usual way. Out for a day's plunder. Ghost ship shows up. LeChuck kills everyone in the crew and then signs everyone up on his ship. You know.
Bob is apparently an old pirating buddy. They decide to give him a lift to the wedding, since they're going that way anyway. What are your thoughts, feelings?
So I like where it's going. I feel like the story does a really good job at not taking forever to get where it's going. Like I think this part maybe doesn't do the best representation of that. Like it does feel like a little like you're going everywhere kind of in a sense. But throughout the whole story, I feel like it doesn't drag getting you through the story. So it's not taking forever to get to where you're going. But I think overall, the best part of this whole thing, I mean, the story's so funny, but I think the characters are what shine the most. The characters are so funny and unique, and just if it didn't have the fun characters, then this game would just not work. Obviously, it would just be kind of stupid. But because the characters are so lovable and just so interesting, and they're just very unique, each character is so unique, and the protagonist Guybrush is so likable because he's so stupid. It's so funny. I don't know. Do you see that in the story?
Yeah, certainly. I certainly see that. I think, like you said, the characters drive the story. So in the first part, it was kind of meeting all the characters of the city, and there's a lot of really strange encounters. And again, there's a bunch I'd left out. There's a bunch of other conversations you have. But meeting the strange encounters in the city in the first, and I will say, structure-wise, the first chunk of this game, which is when you're on Manly Island getting a crew in a ship, is 70% of the game. Then the last 30% is the boat, where you do the potion, and then Monkey Island, and then the conclusion. So the first chunk of the game, you're meeting a ton of characters, and you're doing a lot of interesting things. on Melee Island. And there's a lot of back and forth on Melee Island. And then when you get to Monkey Island, which we're at now, it's mostly interacting with the cannibals and kind of walking around and meeting there's less characters, which I think is what makes the third act, even though there's some really good stuff, especially from the cannibals, less exciting because the characters there are really good, but there's less of them. But yeah, like you said, like the character, the story itself is not super complex, or I don't think it doesn't hold up on its own. You're a pirate who wants to be a pirate, and then you meet a girl who wants to sleep with you, so then you really want to be a pirate, and then she gets kidnapped, and you have to save her, and that, you know what I mean? It's kind of a pretty basic story, but like you said, the characters really elevate it a lot and make it more interesting and fun, and add this just really weird silliness to everything that makes it so much more enjoyable. Like the cannibals who are laying off red meat, and stuff like that. That's just so silly and weird, and it's just good humor. It's got some good humor in it. Guybrush now appears back on Melee Island. Well, that was a lot easier than the trip to Monkey Island. Guybrush tries to make his way to the church, but waiting for him on the dock is a ghost who yells after Guybrush. As the ghost approaches, he shouts, "Hey, wait a second. Do you have an invitation for the wedding?" "I, must have left it in my other pants. Can I interest you in some root beer, sir?" Guybrush responds, pulling the voodoo-powered root beer from his coat.
Root beer? Oh boy, I love root beer!
The ghost raises his hand in excitement as Guybrush shakes the bottle before spraying the ghost. The top of his body vanishes, leaving only clothes behind. With only a little root beer left, he needs to get to the wedding to stop LeChuck and save the governor. The town is now haunted by LeChuck's crew. They stalk the streets. To make sure everybody has proper invitations. Guybrush sneaks past. Making his way to the church, he steps inside to find the priest already reading the vows.
"If there be any man with reason that these two people should not be united in blissful matrimony, let him speak now, or forever hold his peace."
Guybrush opens the door to the church and shouts, "Stop the wedding!"
"Hey, who's that?"
Guybrush steps up to the altar to confront LeChuck. LeChuck meets him.
"You!"
Guybrush again takes out the root beer and prepares to banish the specter. "Take this, you vaporous voodoo vermin!" LeChuck chuckles and responds.
"Take what? Are you trying to bribe me?"
Before Guybrush can use the soda, a rope falls from the ceiling. Governor Marley slides down from above.
"Governor!"
Guybrush and LeChuck both respond in disbelief.
"What's going on?"
LeChuck asks in anger. Elaine, ignoring LeChuck, looks at Guybrush. "Oh, Guybrush, you mad fool. I'm impressed that you came to rescue me, but it wasn't really necessary. I had everything well in hand. Unfortunately, your arrival has made it necessary for me to tip my hand early." LeChuck stutters, not sure what's going on.
"How? Who? But what?
How did you manage to escape?" Guybrush asks casually. The governor responds, "Oh, that was easy. LeChuck is a bozo.
Hey!"
And a lot of his crew members were friends of mine when they were alive." "I thought LeChuck was going to marry you," Guybrush asks.
"Yes, so did I."
"Yeah, so did he. But I arranged for a little surprise when he came to kiss his bride." "If you're here, then who's in the dress?" The bride turns around, revealing instead of the governor, 2 monkeys holding a bottle of root beer. They drop the gown and jump up and down in excitement. "What?" the governor shouts. "Don't scare them. They have my ghost-sapping root beer bottle." "Oh, I'll get it." Guybrush walks towards the excited monkeys as they quickly run off with the bottle. "Oops." The governor sighs. "Nice going, Guybrush. Now I've got to chase them down to get my voodoo root beer back." She chases after them. "But hey."
"You dare come here and confront me? I can't believe your audacity."
"Well, I can't believe your stupidity."
"Yeah, well, I can't believe your frivolity."
"Well, I can't believe your enormity."
"Yeah, well, I can't believe your mobility."
"Well, I can't believe your atrocity."
"Well, I can't believe your fragility."
"Well, I can't believe your alacrity."
"Bah, I grow tired of this."
LeChuck starts to line up for a punch. Guybrush raises a hand in front of him in an attempt to defuse the situation. Say now, let's not be hasty." Before he has any luck, LeChuck punches Guybrush high into the sky before leaping after him. High above Melee Island, Guybrush screams as his bottle of root beer dislodges from his jacket and flies through the air as Guybrush lands. He's quickly followed by LeChuck, who continues to send him flying through the air until he lands inside Stan's grog machine. sending coins to the ground. Stan approaches, speaking to Guybrush inside the grog machine. He waves his hands in the air. Good to see you, son. How's the ship? If you're interested in trading up, I can give you a fair price for it. LeChuck lands, looking for Guybrush, and instead is greeted by Stan. Howdy, partner. You know, just by looking at you, I can tell you're a man of the world. A man with an eye for quality. A man who knows a good bargain when he... Before he can finish, LeChuck winds up and punches Stan. Chuck puts some coins in the grog machine and pulls Guybrush out. Guybrush, with a bottle of root beer in hand, sprays the ghost pirate. LeChuck form shifts and moves before his spirit is expelled from his skeleton and collapses to the ground. LeChuck's spirit flies over Melee Island and explodes in the air in fireworks of blue and white, a full glowing moon behind them. The governor approaches Guybrush. Hey. Guybrush jumps and turns. Yikes! Don't sneak up on me like that. You know, LeChuck was a deviant, obnoxious, slithery, creepy, crawly sort of guy. But I'll say one thing about him. What's that? She asks. He sure looks nice exploding against the night sky. Yes, it's very romantic. Can I buy you a root beer? She asks. Sure. There's more where it stands. Gosh, I hope Stan's okay. We cut to Stan as he lands in the middle of the ocean, hands flailing. At least I learned something from all this. What's that? The governor asks. How to deal with frustration, disappointment, and irritating cynicism. She looks at Guybrush dreamily and says, that sounds like something my husband would say. Yikes. The end.
What a crazy story. Oh my god, it's so funny. Like, that is the, like, I feel like they must have gotten, like, just, like, super high and just wrote the story.
It feels a lot like that. It's just so strange and all over the place and wacky, and it never at any point takes itself seriously.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that I love games that are able to do that and they do it well. You know, like, it's just like pure enjoyment to listen to the story. It's just so funny. Yeah, that was great. I loved it. But Ryan, I mean, fantastic storytelling as usual. You did a very great job. It's fantastic.
Thanks. I mean, all the credit goes to Tim Schafer and the workers.
Yeah, but did they read the story? No, they didn't. I mean, they wrote it and they programmed it.
They paid voice actors to read it.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. But overall, Ryan, what do you think about this story?
The story itself, the narrative of man really wants to be a pirate, does trials, meets a woman, really likes woman, keeps doing trials, she's kidnapped, he goes to save her. Like, that isn't a super complex or interesting narrative. It's just kind of the end goal just kind of keeps moving for Guybrush in ways that they don't feel totally ridiculous because the game itself is pretty ridiculous, but it's not super complex or super deep or asks any real deep meaningful questions. It's just like the game is like just 6 hours or 4 hours of just fun, silly, wacky writing and interesting characters, and especially in the newer special edition, some really good voice acting and art that's just really enjoyable. And I think the characters are so fun and silly, and the writing I love. I really love this game. Like we talked about in the DLC episode, point and click adventures have like a special place in my heart, and The Secret of Monkey Island is part of that pantheon of point and click adventures that I just really love and enjoy.
Yeah.
But what about you? What are your feelings on The Secret of Monkey?
Like, it's so funny. I had no experience going into this game. I just knew of it, and I just listening to the story. It's just I honestly was not expecting something so wacky and crazy. I knew it was supposed to be like silly and stuff, but like that was just like off the walls, like loopy, and like what was great about the story is that it really just it flips the script. Like everything you think is going to happen does not happen. Like I expected the finale of this game to take place on Monkey Island. Like it doesn't happen, and that's cool. I like that. I was totally like not expecting that, or like, you know, when Guybrush collects his crew and then no one does anything. They just sunbathe. It's just so random and just like it just constantly surprises me, and I love that. And of course I love, you know, I consider myself a man child, so I love how wacky and stupid this is. Like, it's great. It's stupid in a good way. I mean that as like a compliment, if that makes any sense at all. Yeah. Like, it's just so, it just has a lot of good charm about it. I'm actually super excited to read the other stories now going forward. I think it's gonna be like a fun series to continue. Like, do the other games continue Guybrush's story?
Yeah, so they all follow Guybrush through his various wacky adventures, all kind of vaguely pirate themed with some characters returning, some new characters. The next one is Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. So that already tells you so much about what that's about, right? And they're just really wonderful, silly games. I thought there was 3, but maybe
there's Curse, right?
I think there's one more. The Curse of Monkey Island is the 3rd one. And I think there might even be one called... Yeah, in 2000 they made a game called The Escape of Monkey Island. So there's 4 of these wonderful things. Who knows if they're all wonderful? But so there's a whole bunch of Monkey Island games, and they're all super cheap on Steam and really wonderful. Just really fun, silly. You can sit down and spend 4 hours just playing in this like silly, wacky world. It's point and click, so it's actually like sometimes really challenging. But yeah, overall that's Monkey Island. I hope everybody enjoyed the Monkey Island experience and is excited to
it gives me a
for more
deeper sense of pride and enjoyment of root beer, I would say. I just watched
certainly
The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. I'm a year late, sorry for all those people who love it. And I just think that their problems could have been solved if they just had root beer. Like, come on. Just pour root beer over this haunted house and let's get on with our lives.
Yeah, guys. They figured it out in Monkey Island.
1990. Come on. Let's do that. But anyway, I love it. It was a great game. I'm glad you picked this one. It's such a unique game that I think it kind of came out of nowhere, which is cool though. I'm glad that we have these times. So then people can, like you said earlier, enjoy these games and be inspired to want to go back and play them. Like I probably will. Yeah, I'm sure once January hits, I'm gonna be just plowing through this backlog of all the games we covered that in this podcast I have not played yet, and I'm super excited about it. And that was The Secret of Monkey Island. Ryan, great job.
Thank you.
Telling that story. Very, very good job. Next week, we will be covering the story of Uncharted 1.
Yes. Yeah. So good.
Such a good game. Oh, spoilers. I mean, the game itself is great. And actually, the cool thing about Uncharted 1, the cool thing for me about Uncharted 1, is that I never really paid super close attention to the story. So I actually really don't remember a whole lot of it. Like Uncharted 2 and 3 and 4 actually stick out more in my mind story-wise than 1 does. So I'm actually really excited to go back and hear the story again.
Yeah, it's from what I remember, it was pretty interesting, and I remember it also being kind of spooky, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm excited to go back and relive some of that spookiness.
Yeah, definitely. And it's actually be a really cool episode also because we're bringing a guest on the show for the first time.
Yes, our first guest.
It'll be so much fun.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Having 3 perspectives in one episode, it's so much perspective.
I know. So much perspective. Can one episode handle 3 perspectives?
I don't know. Can you imagine if one of us hates the game? It'd be kind of cool in that regard. I don't think it's going to happen, but so next week, Uncharted 1. Remember, storygoers, you can write in with your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives at talesfromthecartridge@gmail.com. All of the E's are 3s. And you can also see us on Twitter and Instagram. DM us, let us know what you think about the game and all those good things about it. And so until next time, thank you so much for listening to the story today, and we'll see you on our next episode.
Bye.
Arg.